chance to maybe get out from under your own perspective, right? Get a fresh perspective. Would you agree with that, Chandra?
Yes.
Okay. What does the B stand for?
Bring on the battles.
Bring on the battle, because that person looks at it differently. So we would do what? We would bring on the battle, right? But we battle with respect. We battle with trust. Okay? And that's the way you honor the alien and the other person. A lot of people ask me, man, I see you and Jay just duking it out and having these passionate discussions. Yes, we bring on the battle. We accept the alien. But the other thing we do is C. What is C, Chandra?
Cast the character.
Cast the character. That's extremely important. Cast the character means you might take a particular role. So at sometimes Jay is the teacher and I am the student. At other times when we're crafting our presentations, I'm the guy that does the words. He's the picture guy, right? At other times, he is the whiteboard guy. I am the critic. And then sometimes it's the reverse, but you have to cast the character. Again, it is done with respect. Chandra, would you agree with that? Cast the character works.
Yes.
Okay, a really good example of casting the characters is from the book is Siskel and Ebert. You remember the two movie critics?
Oh, yes.
Okay, Ebert was the extrovert. Ebert would say stuff like, man, that was a great Chuck Norris movie. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up. He rated it as a Chuck Norris movie. Siskel, on the other hand, was a bit of a snob. He would say, that's the worst movie I've ever seen. What can you think of? But they cast the characters. Again, sometimes it's natural because it's introvert, extrovert. Sometimes it's art house snob or Chuck Norris critic. All right, what is the D?
Destroy the dislike.
This is probably the most important one, destroy the dislike. That alien is not like you. You're going to look at them and do what sometimes, Chandra? Yeah, you're going to give them the stink eye. Yeah. But what you've got to do is you've got to get past that. You've got to be able to destroy the dislike. So those things that that person does that annoys you, get beyond that. Destroy that. That's in you, not them. Okay? So that's something you can control. Destroy the dislike, and you'll no longer have what, Chandra? The stink eye, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. What's the E?
Each can't offer everything.
Each cannot offer everything. That's true. We hear of these magical unicorns that exist. These people that can just do anything and everything. In reality, I've never actually seen them grazing anywhere. But what can happen, though, is if you have it as a partnership, the two opposites can really make some magic happen. So think Wozniak and Jobs. Sullivan shoe 1, 2 is what we always say. And so we divide and conquer, and what we try to do is bring a little bit of that genius by partnering with someone that is an opposite. So thank you for being my opposite. You live. Excellent. All right. Genius of opposites. Who's next? Jeremy, you next? Or Beren? All right, Jeremy's going to go.
You go now. Okay, watch out for the camera there.
How many slides, Jeremy?
Very few, actually.
Oh my God.
I know.
Only 100.
It's a 30-minute presentation. It's random. Slide.
Which one? This is, yeah, it's all right, let's see if this works. All right, so the many ways that design adds business value. Five-minute lightning talk. So design is a process. It's a problem-solving toolkit. And as designers, we can apply these tools to solve many of our business problems, our clients' problems, our users' problems, right? And so we're doing things like generative research. We're doing things like building out journey maps and now ecosystem maps, usability tests, UX design, right? So we're able to bring this tool set, these design tool sets to any organization. And what's funny is a lot of organizations, while I would describe this as kind of the more proper product development path, where you're understanding your users, bringing insights and ideas, you're validating those through design validation, and then you're moving into sprint development. And of course, there could be many sprints there, and then you're validating them. A lot of organizations really just start in the green. They don't really take advantage of the design toolkit that every organization has access to. And so this is the slide that has to be shown in every presentation about design value. There's a law about this, where they
There's a small writing to the right.
yeah, where they pegged companies that invest in design versus companies or against S&P 500 and outperformed the S&P 500 by 228%. So this has to be in every design presentation. And actually, I have a full presentation about UX and ROI. It's many hundreds of slides. It's roughly 39 minutes. You can go to my website and view that. I knew I couldn't do that in 5 minutes. But when you apply this design process, you see lots of different improvements. So on the consumer side, you see things like more downloads, higher conversion rates, more usage, easier onboarding, more loyalty. On the workplace side, for your employees and other workplace experiences, efficiency, ease of use, productivity, time to task. Also on the development side of things, you're reducing the amount of rework. I think we had already talked about the amount of effort it takes to build things after it launches. You get higher Scrum team velocity, reduced development costs across the board because you're using these design toolkits. When you understand your users, when you've already validated those and the development team could focus on writing great code, that's what they'd rather be doing anyways. And on the marketing side, increasing the NPS score, better market perception, customer insights, there's a long list of things that design can help with. But really there's 4 main ways that you should be talking about it to any potential business owner. There's a great paper by a group of students. It's actually from 2012, and I've taken some of this from there and I've changed a bit of it. But the 4 ways are more revenue, reduced cost, time to market, and new concepts. And so just a second on each one. On more revenue, there's a story from Jared Spool about the $300 million button. They went into an e-commerce, they had an e-commerce client. The client was losing sales. It was a very, very small thing to change. It was basically adding a non-user login visitor purchasing, right? And from that, the organization earned additional $300 million in sales over the year. And that's what I would consider extremely, extremely low-hanging fruit, let alone things that could come up from a more generative research process. On the reduced cost side, so you're improving processes. So we do a lot of work with call centers, right? So cutting time off calls, improving customer support. These are all things that reduce costs within your organization. Call center calls are extremely costly, and that's kind of what I talk about it in my longer talk. And just shaving off a couple minutes can save the company millions of dollars, and it can really only cost you a small team of designers to pull some of this low-hanging fruit. Time to market. So when you're able to validate your idea quickly with design tool sets, when you're able to understand what your customer needs are, when you're able to show the development team exactly what you're looking to build and knowing that the customers have already validated that, you can actually get to market faster and more right the first time instead of going through multiple iterations of changes after development and after launch. And then new concepts, something that I feel like is often not talked about. Through this kind of in-depth generative research, new ideas could come up from there, new revenue streams, new business ideas. What do customers want from your brand today, and what do they need from your brand tomorrow? It might not be that obvious, but going out, shadowing your users, understanding your users, sitting with your users. In my talk, there's an example about a group that goes out and sits with people using sour cream, and a new revenue stream came from that. So just observing people in their natural states, whether it be in the workplace or out in the field, can actually generate totally new concepts for your business to go out and tackle. So when you're talking to business owners, don't just tell them you're doing great work and you're doing a good job. Talk to them about how you're increasing their revenue streams. Talk about how you're reducing costs. Talk about how you're improving the time that they're getting to market, and talk about how the new products and new concepts and new ideas that you're bringing to market to make your company stay relevant so you can last more than the industry average of 15 years for a company. And that's the end.
Do you have space for comments?
Sorry?
Is there space
How many minutes? Do I have time for comments?
No? Okay. That's okay.
Sure.
I'll be here after. Do you want full screen?
Yeah, does it have a slideshow?
I don't know how to work this down.
Just gonna,
Preston, do you have one?
I do.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can beam it over to Jeremy's laptop.
Perfect. Genius. Okay.
the only comment I have to Jeremy is that whole design research
Yeah.
needs to happen fast, otherwise it takes forever.
But it can, so it can scale to the problem space and like how much do you know today, a lot or little, right? Yeah, we could talk. I'd like to talk to you more about that. Yeah.
This is actually working.
Good.
I sent I don't know. I sent Jeremy an email with
Yeah.
PDF in it, and this actually works. So
It's a Mac. Remove the mouse so the thing goes away at the bottom.
okay. So I want to talk about something that I've delved into very recently. And where is that going
who doesn't.
Oh, well.
No,
We're all learning together. We're all learning together. We're all learning together.
We're all little just time out.
Okay, so there's oh my goodness, it's going in the actual slideshow mode. Okay. So there's this idea that I've been talking about, or that I researched, called responsive organizations. So these are like a collection of ideas that have been going on in my head for a while, but this term kind of consolidates them all into an easily researchable topic called responsive organizations. And I'm going to start my timer. That makes it easier for me.
Brian's got a hook. You start talking.
I need to see it. I need a visual. So, so what's been happening is, in the past, a company has existed on the S&P 500 for a long time, but as you see, as time has progressed, those companies are dropping off of that index with increasing frequency. So this is the number of years that it took for a company to reach $1 billion in market cap. So that's 20 years, typical Fortune 500 company, and then you just see it dropping ridiculously fast. So 14 months it took Oculus to get acquired by Facebook for $1 billion. That's kind of ridiculous. Right? Ford was founded over 100 years ago. It's $50 billion, which is a huge company. Tesla was founded how many years ago? 14 years ago, and it's worth $40 billion. What is going on? Things are changing at a ridiculous pace. So, like, we can't really do the things that we have been doing, for the last 100 years. This is what's been going on with cell phone networks and communication networks. Telephones took 150 years or 89 years to reach 150 million users. Facebook took 8 years to reach 1 billion users. 5 years for Android to reach 1 billion users. So that's like increasing exponentially fast. So what are computers good at? Things that are certain, things that are repeatable, things that we can predict. That's what computers are good at. And companies are designed for that too. Like, you can imagine a huge company. It's like they've been doing the same thing for 50 years. And how did they get profit? They become more efficient. But humans are good at figuring out the things that we are not predicting at all. So that's what companies need to start being good at, the uncertain. Because companies are just a bunch of humans until we have robots creating companies. But yeah, so how do we change from that old school style to this new thing? You know, the old companies were created in a way that was closed. They focused on efficiency. You know, you had all these controlling measures. Now we need to move to this open way of working. We have to focus on learning, focus on the network effects of things. This is a thing from a manifesto from responsive.org. So responsive.org is a website where they talk about responsive organizations, and they have a manifesto that talks about the things that we used to be doing and the things that we should be doing as we migrate towards being more responsive companies. So we used to focus on profit. Now we should be focusing on purpose. We used to focus on hierarchies. Now we should be focusing on networks. We used to be controlling, and we should now be focused on empowering the people. Planning to experimentation, privacy to transparency. And one big thing for me is moving away from efficiency, like a machine being efficient, making more money, and being more effective as people. This is an illustration of that. I want to give you one example, and if we have time, I can go through some more. But Zara is a company that's a clothing company. They make a ton of clothes. And you kind of typically think of a clothing company as a company that works in cycles of 6 months. They have those seasons. So they plan out their 6 months, they make all of these clothes, they send them to the stores, they sell them, and then 6 months later, then you figure out how you did, and then you make another set of clothes, right? But Zara, they work in a way where their companies or their factories only work at 80% capacity, and they use that extra capacity to respond to trends that are happening right now. And so they have a way for managers to ask the customers why they're returning things or why they're buying so many of these things. And then they use that extra capacity to create more product of that particular thing and get them to the stores. So there's this idea of concept to floor, and you can imagine a designer designing some clothes, getting it to the factory, and then getting it to the stores, and that taking 6 months for the industry. But for Zara, it can take 15 days. So if somebody says, I don't really like that lapel, I want no lapel, and a lot of people are saying, I'm gonna buy that, then the manager says that, they take it to a designer, they design it, they get it to the factory, they build it, they manufacture it, and they get it to the store, and it's on floor store in 15 days from that point in time. So that's pretty ridiculous. So that's what Zara has been doing to become more responsive as a company. That's one example, and I'm gonna just stop with that one. I have some more, but you can talk to me after too.
5 minutes, perfect.
We'll see if this works.
Can I leave it over to you? I think you're last. You bring us home hard.
What's that?
Yeah, well, who are you? You'll have to find out.
Who are you?
My name is Burin, B-U-R-I-N. I go by that on most of the internet. My name is unique enough to have that. My Twitter is Burin, B-U-R-I-N.
What's the point of the whole presentation?
Well, I'm a developer. I write code all day, and I want to write effective code and make a big impact. So I was researching responsive organizations. So that was just a topic that was interesting to me, because we talk about like agile and how to respond to like that one customer who's actually a product owner who works at the same company, but I was interested in learning how organizations as a whole could become more effective and respond to the industry and customers.
See, the concept that I think you're absolutely on is that people lean on dev to be agile, and they said that's gonna fix everything.
Yeah.
And we know that there are other silos in the organization that also need to be responsive, and they haven't gotten that message yet. And I think that's what
Yeah.
you're leaning towards, so
Right.
that's a great topic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to pull myself completely out of my own comfort zone, and I came up with this when I was in Austin, so this is kind of a trial thing, but a lot of people come up to me and they ask me, why are you so passionate about the things that you do? And a lot of people come up to me and they're like, you do UX, you teach UX, but then you go way beyond that, and how can I do that? How can I capture that? You know, how can I capture that forbidden passion? Right? Well, it all starts with inspiration. I look around me, I look at all the different fields I work with, and I try to go, what's going to really inspire me to look somewhere that I haven't looked before? And that drives my motivation. You know, ultimately I'm trying to look and go, all right, what can I do? How can I get this done? And I rely upon other people to get motivated. I rely upon other things that I see in the field. Could be about UX, might be something completely different. But the goal is to look at your capabilities, both what you can do and what you can't. Because within those, you start to discover a whole bunch of new things. And that's when you start to look beyond your own knowledge. Because if you stay within your own zone of understanding, it makes it very hard to look beyond and find new worlds of learning. Things that you're passionate about, areas that you would like to explore, but you're scared. Because you're in that comfort zone. You're locked into it. And I know many people in this room get locked into that comfort zone. And we stay there. We stay there at a company for 10 years. I decided to not stay at a company for 10 years, and now I get to do these things every single day. And it's amazing. But this guy always appears. You get your frustration beast. And I had this discussion with someone recently, and I said, you know, the thing is, I'll be sitting there working on some new concept in building holograms or whatever it is, and I'll look at that tool that's in front of me and I'll go, fuck you. And I'll just stare at it because I know that I'm not going to be able to be successful that day. And that's where the frustration beast comes in. And it's full of excuses. Full of excuses, I will tell you right now. You have no time. Number one thing that people come up to me. I mentor a lot of students. They come up to me, I have no time. Well, what you're really saying to me is, it's not a priority. Because you do have the time. And you can make time for doing the things that you love to do. And other people come over and they go, well, you know, if I just sit here, maybe it'll just happen. Magic, you know? I'm just going to somehow magically learn all of that brand new information from somewhere. It's too hard. Why should I even start? What's the point of starting this, right? And I do this too. I get into this same mode. I'll sit there and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have to learn Unity, C#, and 47 other programs today, and I need to do it by lunch. No, it's not going to happen. It's too hard. Bullshit. Yes, I finally get the poop emoji inside of a presentation. But a clear path is not always an easy path. It's not. It's going to be, there's going to be thorns along the way. You're going to run into lots of problems, and it takes a lot of time to do that. So you have to set a vision and goals. Pretty simple, right? Where do I want to be? How do I want to get there? They can be smart. You can use SMART goals. But I find that that actually doesn't always work for me. And above all, I make sure that the goals are achievable. Maybe not measurable because I don't know where I'm going, so it's hard to measure where I've never been before. But how? I create little tiny micro goals. One thing a day, like, okay, by the end of the day, I'm going to be able to have this hologram sitting in front of me. And that's going to be enough. And that's going to be achievement. It might take the whole day. It might take 1 hour. And miniature, not minotaur, points of success. Okay? So,
What's a minute?
the previous guy up there, my little beast of frustration. Yeah, call back.
Is it horse legs and a guy top?
Bull. He's a bull,
Is
yeah.
that not a minotaur?
Yeah. We can debate the beast of frustration later on. That's a centaur. But when I look at these different things that I'm doing, I measure those as tiny little points of success. Like, okay, well, I did not complete the long goal, but I was able to figure out how to render a 3D model. Or I was able to figure out how to write a new piece of code that I've never written before. Or I designed some new UX term that doesn't exist in the world. Those kind of things, right? And do the goals align to your vision? That's what you always want to check. And we always have a tendency to get stuck on our goals. We hold on to them. We don't release them. We're like, I got this. I can do this. But sometimes it just doesn't align, so throw it out. Don't be afraid to throw it out. Because rigidity leads back to your frustration. And that beast, he's waiting right there, ready to tell you, no, you can't. You can't learn that new thing. You can't go beyond this. You can't go ahead and create new levels of passion in your own life. And it's a choice. It's a choice you make to do this consciously. Every day I make this choice. I wake up, I'm like, cool, what am I going to learn today that's new? What's my daily behavior? And that's it. Thank you, Jeremy.
You want to know how to reset this to like show your presentation? That's why you're playing.
It says play up top right there.
There you go.
Wait, but I need the present. I need presenter view.
Oh, you gotta.
Your screen's mirrored.
It's like-
Extend your
oh.
desktop.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not. Here you go. This one, range runner. Turn up mirror this way.
Does this feel like you're playing solitaire with somebody else looking at like, no?
Dude, get the ace, put it to the top.
Is that just me? Just me? Okay.
Awesome, thank you. So tonight I'm going to be talking about objective data storytelling for products. This is a excerpt from my presentation I gave at BD this past fall, and I'm happy to be here tonight to talk about it. So, first of all, there are 5 key steps in planning and designing data stories. First of all, you want to have a defined objective for your product. You want to understand who your audience is and what they need to succeed. You need to have a logical structure that follows a narrative flow for your product. You want to be able to visualize those key scenes in your data story. And finally, the ending of your story needs to be awesome to bring it home, and it has to be actionable. But just for today, we're just going to talk about having a defined objective. The most important thing I want for you to take away today is that data-driven products and content must have a point. Data stories should always have a specific goal and rely only on data and findings that support that goal. Ryan Fuller at Microsoft says it best. Data stories should address a specific goal and rely on only data and findings that support that goal. Data storytellers should avoid clouding their story with findings that don't directly address the objectives of the analysis. Don't distract your audience. Keep your story clear, simple, and impactful. Far too often, we have come across dashboards, infographics, and visualizations that fail to articulate what type of message they're trying to convey. Perhaps you've seen many dashboards like this. Data stories and products need to be designed and structured based on core messages and its intended effect, such as to answer specific questions, to justify a course of action, to sway opinion, or even encourage further exploration of the data itself. When you're planning out your data story, give careful consideration to the kinds of insights you want your users to walk away with by using your product. What actions do you want your users to take away, and what metrics should you provide? The best metrics that are straight or to point share 4 key common characteristics. First, they have a common interpretation. That means that people using your product understand what your metrics mean. A common mistake made by designers is that the data using definitions that don't fit with industry standards are easily misunderstood. Second, good metrics are actionable. When a metric changes, it should be explicitly clear what causes that change, or what action can be taken to affect change. If your metrics are too broad, you may fail to make an impact. Good metrics are also simple and transparent. The source of the metric should always be shared with the user and easy to understand. You should avoid trying to create a compound metric that combines a bunch of factors. This also often results in diminished understanding and reduces the value of the metric itself. And finally, your metrics must be credible. Every scrap of data you present should come from a source that people trust. Once you lose credibility, it's very difficult to get it back. The last thing I want you to keep in mind with regarding considering your point in the data story is to consider the iceberg principle. Always focus on the 10% of your data that gets presented as the main part of your story. Let your users know that this is what's more important. The remaining information is always supporting data that supports why the first 50% is always the most important. Thank you.
All right. We have a surprise last person, and that's it. No more.
Talk about ending on a shitty note. Let's do it. All right. I'm Chris. Hi. Welcome to the AA meeting, Chris. Yeah, this is gonna turn into bad dad jokes real quick. All right. So, who in here has been a bartender or server before? All right. So you're my kind of people, right? So you've seen 100x amount of meaningful interactions that other people have in this world, right? So you've seen some shit. All right. Cool. So what I want to do tonight, and it builds on yours, which is get in touch with your real customer. I'd like to talk about customer empathy, what good empathy can be, and why bad empathy will lead to my favorite word, shit or shitty products. Okay. And so what I need for this is I need 2 volunteers, if you don't mind.
I'll do it.
Cool. Boom. Both of you. All right. Cool. If you guys don't mind, get the hell out. I'm going to grab you in about 30 seconds, all right? I just love to be mean to people, but smile when I do it. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is just a little exercise. I do this with some teams at my place.
Preston, shut the door.
Yeah, shut the door. I don't want you to hear this. This is like total top secret stuff. We're going to do a good example of kind of like, they're already pissed. This is going to be great. All right. A quick crash course of good, bad, okay? Again, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear in this world, okay? So all I'm doing tonight is just showing you how I do it or how I've taught other teams to do it. People take this and do with it what you will, so make your own style from this. But we're gonna start off with one, it's gonna be a little bad, all right? It's gonna be kind of jarring, quick, and I'm gonna force them into what I've seen real product teams do before, all right? And then another one will be a more eloquent, kind of more get them storytelling sort of things, okay? The number one thing I wanna do, we're a car building company, I want another favorite feature of their car, okay? So just keep that in mind, that's what we're gonna go for, all right? But also, keep in mind, kind of pick up on some of the subtle differences. Who would like to go first?
So you sit down here?
Yes, sir. Yes. All right, so if you don't mind, I would like to put you in the most uncomfortable seat possible.
Nice.
And I want you to know that this is the entire team that I'm working with, and we are a car building company.
Awesome.
We've been working on this project for, I think, 18 months now. We've got
That's too long.
$100 million invested in it. I'm the project owner.
Wow.
All right, and so what I'd love to know, what's the favorite thing about your car?
My seat.
Your seat. Okay, cool. Why do you like your seat?
Because if I can feel comfortable in my seat, I can take my family on long car rides.
Cool, so you just like to drive for a while, and you want it to be
If I'm
comfortable.
comfortable, if I'm not comfortable, I don't like it.
Okay, cool, so that's cool. So it's got to be a comfortable seat, right? So that's the only thing that matters. So if I put a comfortable seat, you're in for the long haul.
No.
No, that's what I heard though, so we're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, so if we're gonna build a car, we need a comfy seat, and we're gonna sell it to as many people as need, right? Because if he needs it, he'll take his family with him. Oh my God, it's gonna be a minivan, it can be a sports car, whatever we need. Comfy seat, all right? Because all I wanted to hear from him was his most important thing in the moment, right? I could care less about anything else about Jen.
And it's on camera.
So Charles, what I want, first off, this is kind of a big intimidating room, I apologize for that. What's the most comfortable place for you? I'd love to just kind of chat with you, and these are friends of mine, they're gonna take notes while we're talking.
By your side.
By my side, hand in hand. Alright, cool. So then, what I'd like to do, can you just tell me a little bit about how your day started today? And from the moment you got up.
Woke up at 1 a.m., drove an hour to work, started working. Now I'm here. There's more in between, but
Okay, so you woke up at 1 a.m.
yeah,
Why'd you wake up at 1?
had to be at work.
What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a contractor for HP.
Okay, for you.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I do, I manage webcast for them. So
Okay.
it's, global company
Right.
all over the place. So I spend a lot of time, late hours. But, it's morning for someone, or normal hours for someone else across the planet.
Okay.
Just not for me.
And, well, not for you, right? So you mind if I ask kind of like why are you willing to make that kind of sacrifice? Because me getting up at 1 a.m., it's either I just got home from the bar or like my kids are up. So why do you, that's a big change, right? So why is that cool for you? Why do you like doing that?
Puts money in my pocket to keep me in school, get me where I want to be.
Okay, so you're in school, right? What are you trying to study to be?
Graphic design.
Graphic design.
Yeah,
Oh, I was like, why do you hang your head in shame on that one?
No, just playing this like what I want.
Okay, cool. And why did you want to get into graphic design?
I looked at all other types of art. There's a time I heavily wanted to be an animator, but then I kind of walked away from it. I just kind of looked at the style of art that I like, and it led me to I think I would do better at graphic design. It's something I have a passion for. I just really love doing it.
That's cool, man. I love that. You got to do what you're passionate about, right? Because if you're not doing something that makes your heart go pitter patter, go back to bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Snooze until 1:15. Okay. Cool. So you said you drove to work. Do you mind telling me a little bit about that drive to work? How was that?
A lot of loud music.
Okay.
Trying not to get a ticket.
Okay. Okay, loud music, try not to get a ticket. So do you like to drive fast? Is that, or why?
It's not I necessarily like to drive fast. It's just one of those. I have an hour commute, so I'm just trying to get it done.
Okay. So loud music. Do you mind if I ask what kind of car you drive?
G35. Cool.
All right. Okay, I like that. So G35 Coupe, loud music. Did you modify the stereo or anything, or?
No, it has a Bose thing in it, so it kind of it does its own thing.
Okay. So why'd you pick the G35?
No one laugh at this. I am a big guy. I am already a flight risk for helping people move. So if I get a bigger car.
I've never thought I own a truck. Oh my ass! Chris, we're moving this weekend. You got sick? Nope. I'm buying a G35. All right, cool. So reducing the dependency of others upon you. All right, might be a good reason. Anything else that we want to take into account for why the G35 is like, yeah, that's like when you fire it up, you're excited.
I mean, yeah, it's a decent car. I really love it. And honestly, like I am a really big guy, and I have a ridiculous amount of space inside the car. Like I have more space in that car than I do a lot of SUVs. Like there are some SUVs I drive where there's nothing I can do to keep the steering wheel off my knees.
Right.
So it's.
And the G35 cute though. That's the two-door sporty, right?
Mhm.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah.
You might take me for a ride after, because like, I'm surprised that's got some, that's legit. All right, because I always say that's the same thing, which is I take the seat all the way back, and still it's like driving a Miata.
Yeah, no, like I mean, just to give you an idea, like my brother and my cousins, they're all roughly like my size, so you know, small giants. I've been able to fit, you know, like on rare occasions when I let people know I have a back seat, I can fit 4 people in my car, no problem. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, thank you, man.
No problem.
Well, and wait, one last question.
Yeah.
Which is, if you had to tell Brian he needs to get a G35, what would you tell him?
Man, it depends.
Depends on what? Or if you had to tell him one thing for why he would like a G35 better than his car today, what's the one thing you'd call it?
It's dependable and affordable, because if it breaks, it's just a fancy Nissan.
Okay. There we go. All right, that's it, man. Thank you so much. That was awesome. So, the 5-second wrap up is just, you get to know a lot more about your customers. So there's things that we learned about him that we didn't get to learn about the other, right? And you just kind of take things into account, which is, I might even say he's a caring individual, but also doesn't care enough to want to help your friend move every damn weekend, right? But he's willing to get up at 1 a.m. to go provide a service for other people who are in other parts of the world that need this service, but he's also doing it a little bit selfishly to try to put himself through school. So we know more about you as a user or an individual. So we might be able to take some aspects. Half of that stuff's probably throwaway stuff, right? But it still gives you a better understanding of your end user, so you can take that into account of when you're building this product, it's not just the moment in time, what they want for that very specific thing, that then when you push it to the masses, it doesn't make any sense, right? But you know more about him, and so when you start to do the product that's right for him, you can also find more people like him and market back. Versus if I just try to find, hey, who in here likes a comfy seat? Everybody sitting on really rigid chairs, which are not these chairs, by the way, would say, well, I want a comfy seat, but then they won't buy everything else, right? Versus we look at G35, it's got all this space, it can fit you, and you don't have to, you don't have to move people's stuff. You can also have your friends with you, it's reliable, and it's drop dead simple to repair it, because it's basically a fancy Nissan. You get a higher response than, we've got the comfiest seat in the industry, right? So.
But the point is, you asked me what's my most important thing, and I said the seat, but there are cars I will not buy because I won't fit.
True.
And that is what you got in more detail as to the root, that's why the seat is important to me. Because if I'm a big guy and it's hard on my knees, or I don't feel comfortable, I'm not gonna drive the car.
Exactly. And so the biggest thing to take away here, and I'm sorry if I owe you beers for every minute over 5 minutes. Yes, you go to the University of Wisconsin, because that's Wisconsin reply right there. It's just that, again, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. You take all this input, it's a customer, right? At the end of the day, you're still the person that's taking the customer needs, the business needs, the industry needs, and you make the decisions, okay? And you make the best guess. Don't let one of those inputs steer you to wherever you should be going. You and your team make that call. Cross-functional teams are the best things to tap into. So that's why whenever we do this kind of work, I have developers, designers, product managers, the people who know the least in the room, all in there so we can all experience that together. And when we talk about it, we bring all of our perspectives to unbox what we've heard and what decisions we're going to make. Again, this is all preach. Take with it what you will. Throw the rest in the trash. All right. Thank you, guys.
So that's a wrap for Lightning Talks. We learned about accessibility, self-driving cars, the logistics of UX, employee experience, chatbots, ecosystem mapping, problems with proxy users, SEO, humans first, genius of opposites, actually putting Chandra on the spot a little bit. Design is the business value, responsive organizations, passion in new world of learning with Minotaurs, and objective data storytelling, and good, bad customer empathy. And I heard Chris is buying everyone a beer. Awesome. All right, that's a wrap. We'll see you next month, okay?
Yeah. Nice job, man. I liked it. Oh, I got it.